Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to Tina's Crafty Ink Spot and today's Technique Tuesday. For today's technique, we are going to be using some regular old Crayola crayons. And we're going to melt them to create backgrounds. This is a really old technique. I've seen it done on large scale, on regular full-size canvases. So I'm going to try to tone it down here a little bit and turn it into card backgrounds. This one, we're going to create this background. This one's a little bit darker and full coverage, and I don't know if you can see it in there, I used actually some glitter crayons. Now these crayons, you can get this little, what is this, 32 pack for maybe $5, if even that much. And I think I paid $2 for the little glitter crayons. You can get the bigger sets of, 64. Remember when we were kids and they got the little sharpener? I think at the max, you're not going to pay upward of $9 or $10 for these. They're really inexpensive, so that makes this technique really inexpensive. And then what I got, look at this. This is a tiny little iron. It's got a little flat bottom, and look, it's only as big as, it's smaller than my hand. I don't know if you can tell that. This is made by Doris. I found it on Amazon, and I think I paid $8 and free shipping. And it's just a tiny little iron. I do have a craft iron in my craft room that I got at Walmart. This is a little tiny, compare the size, travel iron. But the only reason this one really wouldn't work is because it's got steam holes. And I found that my crayon kept getting stuck in there when I was trying to do this technique. So then I went and found the little tiny craft iron, and I will write in the remarks where I found the craft iron, and it's by Doris, D-A-R-I-C-E. They have several little crafting items. So I have that little iron. I've got it plugged in and heating up for us. And we've got this card. Then we've got a really kind of simple one here. And I used the silhouette dies with it. And there's just a little bit of glitter in this one that you can see. So I've done that one. Now this one is done a different way, which I will also show you, where we're going to kind of shred the crayon and lay a piece of wax paper over it and then iron it. And this one I added some gold glitter crayon in that one. And this one, we probably won't do this one today because I don't have the space. But what I did is I took my heat gun, my regular Stampin' Up! Heat tool. I stood up my cardstock and I heated my crayon and let it just drip down the cardstock. And to get this umbrella not, for a crayon not to go on the umbrella, I actually just put a piece of masking tape right there. And that way when the crayon ran over, when I was done, I just peeled off the masking tape and it gave it the little effect that the rain is going off the umbrella. So let's jump right in. Now you can do this with any colors. I absolutely adore this one. I haven't figured out what I'm going to make with it yet, but this is just kind of a pink with the glitter in there and different way of doing the iron. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to use regular cardstock. You can use glossy cardstock, but I found my crayon wasn't quite moving well enough on the glossy cardstock, and I'm assuming it's because the iron was heating that top layer of the glossy stock. That's what I'm assuming. So I found this just better works on just plain Whisper White cardstock. Now the first way to do this is gather the crayons that you want to use. And we're just going to go with some blues. I've got a couple metallic ones here that I'm going to set aside. So I'm just going to pick a blue, peel back your paper so you have plenty. And then you're just going to take your little iron and you're going to draw your crayon right on it. See how it melts? Let me move in for you. I'll move in the camera a little bit there for you. So I'm just going to put a little crayon right on there. And I'm going to take another blue, just another shade of blue there. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of white, and I'm just going to mix it in there. And now, you just take it and pull it across your cardstock. Okay? Take a little blue. Now this one's got a little bit of metallic in it, or glitter. This is the glitter crayon. Then I'm going to add some of the dark, and then some of the light again. And go back over my card again. See how the glitter I really like the effect of that glitter. Now you can take your little iron and move that around a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add some of my white glitter to the white glitter crayon to this, just to add some effect. Like most of my techniques, this is another type of mixed media where you really can't go wrong. So what I want to do with this white glitter one is I'm just going to dab my iron on there. And see how it gives it little spots? I kind of like that for an ocean effect. I need a little bit of blue right there, so I'm just going to put a little bit of blue, fill in my spot there. And I'm going to go back to my white glitter one, put some on there, and just dab it. Then I'm just going to leave that set and see what we make out of it. So it's just, and I would keep some baby wipes on hand, and you can just take and wipe your iron right off. Comes right off. Now I do have my non-stick oven mat that I always use. I have that here, and that'll pick up, you can heat this up with your heat tool and wipe it up if you want, or just take your non-stick into the kitchen and hot soapy water will wash right off. On this second one, let's try a little different effect. Let's try some oranges and yellows. And we'll maybe bring in a little gold. Let's see how we start out here. So I'm going to take a dark orange, a little bit of yellow, a little more orange, and let's try that across. And you can move it a little bit with your iron. Let's try yellow. Oh, crayon everywhere. Okay, so now I just want to move this around a little bit, so slowly move your iron and create the effects you want. Okay, I'm going to clean this off a little bit. Just wipe it off. You can use a paper towel or a baby wipe. I want to add a little more yellow in there. And I'm just dabbing it. Oops, I picked up a little blue off my mat. That's okay. I'm going to add some white. This is the white glitter. Oh, that's really pretty. And then when we buff it, it'll really make a big difference. I'm going to add just a touch more white. Up in this corner. Oh, that's going to make a really fun background. If you wanted, and what you can do here, if your space gets a little bit of stuff, take your little iron, heat it up, and then just wipe it away with your paper towel or baby wipe. You can also do that with your heat gun. This will just save me from contaminating my next piece. There we go. Cleans right up. So now back to your first one. You see how it's not, I mean, I like the effect, but it's not shiny. See how glossy this is? See how the light reflects on it? To get that, all you do is take a facial tissue and just buff it. It'll take a little bit off, but it makes it glossy again. You know, crayons are actually kind of shiny. That's all it's doing. And it makes your glitter pop if you're using glitter crayons. So on this technique, you can put as much on or as little. This one, I barely put stripes across it and kind of just swirled it. So you can have as much or as little. Now this one has a little bit more, but I added several different colors in there. You know, different colors of blue and some white shimmer. So let's buff this one up. See there? See how it adds the gloss to the back to the card? There you go. That's going to be a really pretty background. You could use this as a knight. You could put it with your Friends Like You silhouette dies. Just cut out a silhouette. Yeah, I would do it black or white. I think it would look great either way. But make sure when you do your silhouettes or you decorate something like these, when you have a technique background, you really don't want to take from it. So don't get too busy. Just something simple, and then that highlights your technique. This one here, now I did get a little busy with it, but the technique still shows quite a bit. And this is the Sea of Textures bundle. Don't you just love this octopus? Oh my goodness. So here I'm going to show you the third way we do this. What I have here is just a tiny little cheese shredder. It's little, size of my hand. Um, Had it in my kitchen, and I'm like, well, I never use it, so now it's a craft room tool. Yeah, I have a little cheese shredder. If you don't have a little shredder that you want to dedicate to grinding up crayon, you can just use a little pair of scissors. And, you know, it's wax. It's going to come right off of your scissors. These scissors are actually have got that non-stick coating on them there. So what we want to do is we are going to shred crayon right onto our project piece. So you're just gonna put the little shreds on there. And then, like I said, if you don't have a shredder, just take your scissors and just barely go on the edge and just create little shreds. Just kind of snip it there. That's all I'm doing. If you have one that's too big, just snip it in half. But you can do it either way. But we're just, for the save time, I'm going to use my little shredder here. And I'm going to do some pinks and reds on this one, or pinks and purples on this one, and see what we come up with. Got a few over here, and just pick them up, put them on your sheet. And you can make your designs by where you put your little shreds at. And add a little dark in here. And get stuck in there like my cheese does. So I'm going to move that one up a little bit. Let's go. Now this one is a metallic pink. That's one of those glitter crayons. Let's see how this does. I'm just going to brush these onto here. Let's go back to this. Oh, and I don't know about you, but I don't remember crayons being this hard to peel the paper when I was a kid. You know, I mean, maybe when I was a kid, I probably used my teeth or something stupid. Yes, I was a kid that ate crayons. Got into all kind of stuff. Let's put a little more pink here at the bottom. So now we have our little sheet covered. I'm going to move these darks around just a little bit. Now you kind of want your full sheet covered. I guess it's depending on the effect you want. If you want full coverage or if you wanted that swiped effect that we had. But I'm going to kind of go for a little bit more of a full coverage here. I'm going to add a little bit of white glitter. I did find doing this technique, when you add the whites to it, it kind of gives you those spots on your project that are, I don't know, it gives you that little focal areas when you use whites. So apparently white crayons do have a use. Alright, so now what we got? We've got our shreds on our piece of paper. You're just going to take a piece of wax paper. If you have parchment paper, I would suggest probably using parchment. Reason being, the wax paper, I found since it is wax, it's adding more wax to my project. which isn't a bad thing. It doesn't hurt it, but a little bit more of the crayon seems to want to stick to the wax paper than I bet if you had parchment paper, it probably wouldn't. But I'm out of parchment paper. I'm not a baker, so having that kind of thing around my house isn't really something I do. So we're just going to take a little piece of wax paper here. I'm just going to tear it off a little. And now you're just going to cover your project and now hit it with your iron. And I think the wax paper adds these different little designs, so it is cool. It gives it kind of that splattery look. So I do kind of like it. You can move your wax around still the same as you would if the wax paper wasn't there. And I'm just moving my iron around to try to give it a little bit of design. I really like abstract stuff, so this is, this kind of stuff is my weakness. So I'm going to let that cool a second. And then we're going to peel it up, see what we came up with. Oh, I like that, you guys. Okay, so I'm assuming, see these little spots here? I'm assuming that's because of the wax paper, because the wax paper is actually adding additional wax to it. So I think if you did this with parchment paper, it would probably turn out a little bit different. You can still hit it with your iron if you want. Move it around. I'm trying to do a little swirly thing here. Yeah, I like that. And we've got the little glitter effect in there. Okay, so you can leave it like this, which is a real pretty background, but you know what I'm going to do? You can still do the same effect where you add, this is my white glitter crayon, and I want to add my little blotches of white. Oh, because you can still see some of the other white in there from that you shredded. And when you tap your iron like this, you'll, let's see if I can see if you can see the texture it gives it. Gives it a really pretty texture. See that? This is going to make a really pretty card. You can also take this that you've made and die cut flowers, die cut any type of image out of it if you wanted to, and just use it like that. Or you can use them as backgrounds. But see, we're back to see it's not really shiny. We're going to grab a Kleenex, make sure this is dry, and then we're just going to buff it a little. I really like the texture on this one. I can feel it. Touchy texture. There you go. There's your shiny. See there? What a difference it makes. Look at the pretty texture and glitters in that. Oh, I might make a flower out of this one. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to show you really quick. I'm going to see if I can do a drip one for you. This right here. This is really fun to do. So I'm going to unplug this. And then all you need is your heat tool, the colors of crayon you want. Let me grab a piece of paper. And what I have is these little, you display your cards, these little display racks. You can get these at Michael's for like $1. It's just plastic, and you can set your cards up on it. So I'm going to see if I can show you how to do the drip on camera. So you stand up. That may not work with this. Maybe I can come in and go back. Let's see if that'll show. So what you want to do is heat up your heat tool. Just lay your crayon on the very edge of your cardstock and heat it. And you see it dripping? That's how you do the drip. Just set it right on the edge of the cardstock there and use your heat. As the crayon gets hotter, it drips faster. And if you want it farther down, just touch the crayon to the cardstock and it'll drip right down. It's really fun and it's pretty. So say like, okay, you got your blue there. Let's add a different blue. Oh, that one's empty. Say like you wanted some of your white glitter on there. Heat it up just a little bit. Touch your cardstock. And it'll run down. And of course, if you're coming from the top of it, it will run your drip straight down. Because it's going to follow the air. I have seen this done with a blow dryer. I don't know how long that would take to heat up. See there? Just touching it to the top and it runs right down. There you go. So that's the other way to do that. Isn't that pretty though? This is the abstract art I've seen done on canvas, is where they drip it. Normally they would glue the crayons right to the edge of their canvas and then just melt a rainbow down the canvas. But isn't that pretty? There you go. At the end of this video, I will take these that we have done here and I will put a card together for you. And the other cards, we've got this one. Now I'm assuming you can stamp right over this, but I would use Stays On ink if you're going to stamp on this wax, because it is wax. So you'd want something that's going to stamp over it. So use Stays On ink on that. And here's our blue one. And our samples, here's this one. We've got that one. Aren't these fun? I hope you enjoyed today's technique. Have a great day. Happy stamping.